Welcome, Kristy. Welcome to Virtual the Country Bookshop, where I'm so excited about your new book, Under the Southern Sky.
Me too. I'm so excited about it. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry that we're not in person, but hopefully soon.
Well, hopefully soon. And, it's been fascinating. We've enjoyed having you in store for so many of your other books, but watching you during the pandemic, really getting the word out about your books and getting to know your readers in a different way and developing such a friendship with people. You've been an inspiration to me as to how to pivot during a pandemic. Can you tell us what you've been up to?
Oh my goodness. Well, it has been crazy. So as you know, my last book, Feels Like Falling, came out right kind of in the middle of when we were in true lockdown. And I know you and I did something like this last year, which was great. But yeah, we just I was like, okay, well, this is what it is. What do we do? And we really just came to bookstores like you guys and said, hey, like, can we try to do some virtual events and see what happens and hope it works? And probably the most notable thing was a group of authors, Mary Kay Andrews, Kristen Harmel, Patty Callahan Henry, and Mary Alice Monroe and I got together and we were just kind of complaining on Zoom about what are we going to do? How are we going to sell our books? And Mary Kay said, oh, you know what? We should go on Facebook and do this. This would be really fun. And we were like, yeah, okay. And so we decided like every week we'll, have a new guest and we'll have a new independent bookstore that's kind of like our bookstore of the week. And started this show called Friends in Fiction. And we were going to do it for 7 weeks because it had been popular. And we actually just celebrated our 1-year anniversary last week. So
well, I remember we were the first bookstore you chose because I think y'all were switching around. And I cannot tell you how grateful I was to get to be a part of that, especially now seeing how y'all brought so much each of your books to other readers, but also so much joy to everyone watching and all your readers, just through the conversations and, how lovely y'all are. It's so nice to see authors chatting together in a much more casual way than sometimes we would otherwise.
Yeah, no, it's been truly like one of the best gifts of the pandemic. And I think, it's something that has just kind of kept going. And I know for me, I'm doing like a few in-person events this year and I can tell, certainly in my virtual events, but even in my in-person events too, I can tell, there's such a big Friends in Fiction contingency who's there. And I think everyone's just so excited to get to kind of be together. And it's just been a really great community that's formed. So we're really lucky to get to do it. And we'll have to have you back now that I won't say we know what we're doing, but we're like slightly better than we were before.
Right. I can understand the continuum of
Yes.
the virtual world, but can you talk a little bit about Under the Southern Sky? And I mean, to me, it echoes a little bit of your first book.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if you could talk to this for a second.
Yeah, there are definitely some parallels for sure. So Under the Southern Sky is about an investigative journalist named Amelia who is working on a big story, and she's snooping around and she finds this list of embryos that have been abandoned on this doctor's office desk where she's working, and she accidentally sees a name that she recognizes, and it's that of her childhood friend Parker and his late wife Greer. And so she has to tell him that these embryos have been deemed abandoned, meaning that their fate is kind of up in the air. And then Parker has to decide what to do with what is, effectively the last remaining part of this woman that he loved so much. And he had never planned on being a single father. This was not in his life plan. So this is a very difficult decision for him to make. But I love the cast of characters in this story. And we have a lot of different protagonists, Parker and Amelia, of course. And then we get to see Greer through her journal entries, which I really love writing like that because it's like very introspective and I get to kind of stay in her head the whole time. And then we get to see Amelia's mom, Elizabeth. She's she's a point of view character, but we see her a little bit less, but she's her good Southern Medlin mama. And she has, all sorts of ideas about how life is supposed to turn out for her daughter. So each of these characters has a secret. And as those secrets are revealed one by one, what ultimately ends up happening to these embryos is revealed, as well as, the fate and the future of all of my protagonists.
Well, and you have a history in journalism as well. Was that kind of where the impetus came from?
Yeah, well, actually, this is sort of a segue, and I will answer your question, but this was so crazy. So yesterday there was a huge story in the New York Times about a couple who their child is like maybe in his 20s now, and they had done IVF a long time ago and had tried to have more children and were told that all of their embryos were gone, and then started getting these invoices for their frozen embryos. Well, come to find out, all of their frozen embryos were not gone, they were just misplaced. So I had all of these people like texting me and like tagging me in these posts yesterday, like, this is kind of like under the southern sky.
It's real.
Yeah, it's like a real thing. So this is definitely like a big thing. And I will say my interest in all of that definitely got piqued in journalism school. I did a lot of like science writing, and there was a lot going on with like IVF and epigenetics, and you couldn't all of a sudden choose the sex of your child and whether they have blue eyes, or if you and your partner both have a gene for some, something that you don't want to pass on, it can be removed, like all of these things. So I wrote about that a lot and I was really fascinated by it. But actually I had a friend that came to me at a party. It was about 5 or 6 years ago. It was right before Dear Carolina came out, my first book that you were referencing. And she said, my husband and I have these leftover frozen embryos and we don't know what to do with them. And we never thought we were going to have to make this decision. It didn't even occur to us that we would be making this decision. And she said, I feel like they're my children and I don't know what to do. And she was very upset about it. And she said, a lot of people are going to be going through this. And I think that you should write a book about it. And I knew I would. Like in that moment, it was just sort of one of those chill bump moments. And I thought, yes, like that is definitely, but there's a big difference between an idea and a story. So it took, I was already, Last Another Acts of Love was coming out. I was contracted for Peachtree Bluff. So I knew it wouldn't be for a few years, but there were a lot of little bits and pieces of stories along the way that kind of went into making Under the Southern Sky. And I love it. It's my favorite book yet. So I'm really excited for people to read it. I really am.
Well, because your Peachtree Bluff series, we'll chat about in a second, but what's so fun is as you've had the series, but also your standalones are so lovely for people to read who, really want some great Southern fiction, but are not ready to commit to
a whole series.
And I'm like, boom, we got you covered. The what is it? Lies and Other Acts of Love. The one about the
grandmother and granddaughter. Yeah.
Yes. That one is actually one of my favorites to hand to customers. As well as absolutely all your books, but Lies and Other Acts of Love is probably everybody in Southern Pines. That's been their entry point for you because
I'm so glad to hear that because that one has a really special spot for me. It's a little bit of it is based on like the fun, like not the secrety parts, but the fun parts. A lot are based on my grandparents' real life love story. And so it always makes me happy when I see that someone's reading it or when someone sends me a note about it or something. I love that it's like living on,
It definitely lives on. It is constantly to hand over, and the secret that is in there that gets revealed. And also just, you mentioned about the mother in here, there's certain ways people expect things to turn out. And I think a lot of people and a lot of characters get hung up on that. And I love how you write through other ways of being. And I think it's such a treat for all your readers and for all of us to think about.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, it's so true. It's so true. Now, have your Peachtree Bluff fans been sad? I mean, obviously until they read it, but sad that it's not a Peachtree Bluff book?
Well, okay. So they, Feels Like Falling that came out last year was not a Peachtree Bluff book. So I sort of, eased them in. And I will have to say, Feels Like Falling, it was my bestseller yet. Like it did really well. I think people really liked it. All was well. But I say that with the caveat that I got about 10 million emails and letters in my mailbox from people. We really miss Peachtree. We'd really like to go back to Peachtree. We love Feels Like Falling, but could you write more Peachtree? And they sort of, I think I would be doing like events with other authors and stuff, and people would be like chiming in, like, ask Kristy Woodson Harvey if she's going to write more Peachtree Bluff.
I had one customer who came in and pre-ordered this book, and she loved Feels Like Falling as well. And she was like, is it a Peachtree book? She's like, I love Feels Like Falling, but now she's done it. I'm like, it's another standalone and you're going to love it, love it, love it. And it is so great because Peachtree Bluff, there's so much more for those characters to go, but to get to meet more characters from your brilliant mind is such a treat.
Well, thank you. Well, and all that said, you have to give the people what they want. So Christmas in Peachtree Bluff is coming October 26th, and I'm very excited about it. No, we can talk about it. We can talk about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was
the other thing.
Well, the fun thing about Christmas in Peachtree Bluff is that is when people can probably go ahead and pre-order that now from us as they're doing this, just 1-2 punch. And then you don't have to think about it. We've got you on pre-order and we'll take care of that. And not only that, but we have autographed book plates for Under the Southern Sky. So
kind of cute.
They're so fantastic. And what I love about your timing too, is this is such a good Mother's Day gift.
Mm-hmm. And graduation too.
So true. So true.
People can graduate and then go read on the beach for a little while before they have to move on to their real life, right?
That's right. Or it's just escape their real life,
Right. Exactly. Sit in their living room and just be somewhere different. Yeah. But I like that idea about pre-ordering Christmas at Peachtree too. You might as well.
Yeah, especially as everyone asks. Well, Kristy, I want to thank you so much for taking a moment. I know we are missing so much having you physically in the store to talk about this book. But I'm so excited for you to be able to share a little bit about it with all of our friends here in Southern Pines and Pinehurst and everywhere else.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I miss you guys and I can't wait to see you again.
We miss you too.
All right.
Under the Southern Sky. Bye, Kristy.
Thanks, Kimberly.